This song is a song that's really near and dear to my heart and my own personal story, because those words of the chorus, that's the meaning of Jesus's name. It also happens to be the meaning of my son's name, which is Jace. And my wife and I, we love naming our kids. It's a crazy, awesome experience getting to name someone for life. It's also very daunting. And there's always a point in the naming process where we kind of get crossways and trying to figure it out. And so she had just shared on this one night, we should name him John Stephen, and then we'll call him Jace, and explain the name meaning. And it just was a bit too much for me. And I was like, I just don't know. And so I go to bed, and I'd only been asleep, I think, for 5 minutes. And I just hurl back to being awake. Like, I just startled awake. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I was singing in my sleep. And I don't know this song. It's a new song. So I start recording it on my iPhone. And I'm singing, God, my salvation, you are my healer. You're the beginning and the end. And then I'm kind of coming awake. I'm going, oh my goodness. That is literally the meaning of Jace's name. So I just was the confirmation. I'm like, that is his name, and Neely's right, and I need to just stop it. So the next morning I wake her up, I tell her, and the story moves on. But the writing of this story, it's as much as it's an anthem that I could just sing because it's just Jesus. For me, I went on my own personal journey of him being our salvation and him being our healer. And so I think that's where you get the different imagery that you have in the different verses of just these powerful parts of Jesus' story that happened on a hill. And so for me, that's what this song means for me. It's just a story into further and further and further into God's heart as a healer and our salvation.
In 2015, I was a college student finishing up my last semester at San Diego State. Recently engaged to be married that summer, which was so exciting. And all of a sudden, I just got a phone call out of the blue from my doctor, and she was explaining to me all of these crazy words and terms that I didn't understand. And pretty much she told me that, we think you have Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I said, what is that? I was like, I didn't know what that word meant. And I had to clarify. I said, you mean you think I have cancer? And she said, yes. And we think it's really severe and serious. And that moment just completely caught me off guard. I just had no idea. And I just remember thinking, how am I going to move forward from this? I'm ready to get married, and I'm ready to graduate college. And then this just comes out of the blue. And it was insane. And it was just one of those moments where I was so consumed with fear and anxiety about the unknown, and I just didn't know what was going to happen. And I knew in that moment that I had a choice, and I could choose to worship that fear, worship the unknown, worship the anxiety, or choose to fix my eyes on Jesus and worship him, the one who gives me joy through all of the midst of the pain and the unknown. So I really chose that in that moment, and I'm so grateful that I did. Part of that journey, I have this specific memory of going through this process. They had to figure out what type of cancer I had and how to help me in a treatment plan. And so I had a biopsy procedure done, and I actually had 2 that were done. One was inconclusive. And I have this memory of the biopsy where I was there, and I was laying on the operating room table and just staring up and just seeing bright lights just like this, with doctors surrounding me. And I was, sedated, so I was half awake and half asleep. And I just remember feeling so alone and so afraid and so scared and in so much pain. And in the midst of my unconscious state, I just remember so clearly and so vividly just saying the name of Jesus on my lips and just repeating it. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And in that moment, I just knew that I wasn't alone. And I'll never forget that. And I just am so excited that we're releasing these songs that we are. In one of the songs, God My Salvation, in the bridge, it talks about, through the trial, you are with me. And when rivers roar, you will lift me. And when I sing those words on my lip, God reminds me of his faithfulness and his promises that he's kept in the past to always be with me, and that his presence will never leave me. And so when I sing these songs, I just get so filled with hope to know that he is renewing me constantly. And even though I am cancer-free almost 5 years now, which is amazing, it's just so wonderful to be able to be constantly renewed with his presence and reminded that I'm never alone in any trial, in every season, and to know that God is my salvation, that he is my healer, and that no weapon formed against me will stand.